Hello, I'm Gille, the editor of Unquote, and I'm here on the last day of the Ipem conference in Cannes today, and it is my pleasure to be joined by Nenad Marovac, the CEO and managing partner at DN Capital. Nenad, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Not a bad place to be in January.
Absolutely. And I thought perhaps to start with, you could tell us a bit more about DN Capital's history and what you guys do.
Sure. So DN Capital is an early stage venture capital firm. We focus on marketplaces, fintech, software, and digital health. And we really have three main hubs, so London, Berlin, and Silicon Valley.
Okay, excellent. And where do you see the most interesting opportunities in venture at the moment? Perhaps focusing a little bit more on Europe, but feel free to go into global stuff.
I think within Europe, we're heavily focused on the UK and Germany. Okay. Those are the two markets we really, we have dedicated teams, and we've been one of the early investors in Berlin. So we've managed to get into companies like AutoOne, Quandu, Home2Go, et cetera, and also obviously in the UK, which is our home market. Very lucky to have invested in companies like Shazam, like Purple Bricks, et cetera.
Okay, and what sort of trends are you paying most attention to at the moment? Where do you see the most opportunities?
Yeah, I think the trend right now is moving more towards software, fintech, digital health. We obviously are very strong investors in marketplaces, but I think that e-commerce and marketplace is probably taking a slower position to these other new areas.
Okay. And obviously, you're not the only ones paying attention to that space. There's been a lot of success stories from the fundraising side to the rise of European unicorns, and some observers point to a bit of a European venture renaissance, and LPs taking notice of that. Does that tie in with what you see? And
Absolutely. So I think if you look back to 2005, we had one unicorn in Europe. And I think the number now today is over 60. And these are companies worth over $1 billion. So I think Europe has emerged tremendously in the last 10 years. Last year was the best year ever. We had Spotify go public at 30 billion. We had Adyen go public at 15 billion. We had Farfetch also 8 billion. And then that's on the back of Just Eat, Delivery Hero, Zalando, et cetera. So I think Europe is definitely a very significant player in the European venture capital market.
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously a bit of a hot market as well. There's a bit of competition between VCs and a lot of opportunity. How do you stand out in the market? What key characteristics do you think a good VC should have to take advantage?
Well, I think we're very focused on our sectors. We do a lot of analysis on our markets, so we know our markets quite well. We know a lot of the entrepreneurs that operate in these markets, and also we really focus. So we're not everywhere, but where we focus, sort of London, Paris, Berlin, and the Nordics, we're quite deeply rooted with the entrepreneurial communities.
Okay. And one last parting question, perhaps. Greatest challenge for 2019 and key expectation for 2019.
Well, I think the biggest challenge we all have for 2019 is what happens with Brexit and the EU and all this, which is completely out of yours and my control. But I think this is obviously a concern for me. I think that I'm very, very much a pro-European, and I'd love to make sure that all these borders don't start popping up and making it difficult. One of the beauties today in Europe is you can basically get an engineering team out of Romania or Hungary or whatever, and put it together with a operational team in Germany and the sales team out of the UK, and I think that's great. And I hope that the politicians and us as business practitioners work closely together to make sure that we have this level playing field, because I think competing against the US and Asia from smaller fragmented countries is much more difficult. So I think staying together, working together is the key priority for Europe for the next future.
And on the perhaps slightly more positive side, any sort of key exciting development that you're looking forward to in the next few months?
Yeah, I mean, our portfolios are growing tremendously. Companies like AutoOne and Home2Go, just hitting numbers that we've never seen before. So we're very positive about the prospects for European companies on a global basis, not just in a European perspective, but on a global basis.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Nenad. Pleasure having you with us
today.
Thanks
for having me. Thank you for
watching.
Cheers. Bye-bye.